but I never been so full after an episode.
Facts. And the food was busting. Come check it out.
Good.
Trade in Boston.
Shout out to L. Thank you for having us. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit like, share.
Mess with us, you know what I'm saying?
I'm about my cash, I'm about my cash, I make it rain. I'm about my cash, I'm about my cash, I make it rain. I'm about my cash, I'm about my cash, I make it rain. I'm about my cash, I'm about my cash, I make it rain. I just wanna make some money with the big bag only hundreds. While I sit back and I kick back with my little honey buns.
Point, there's no proof that there's wins already. Let's kick this off. Yo, it's Tristan Javon, all right? It's your boy Nice over here.
What's
We're
up,
back.
what's up?
You know, ways to get the check with another episode. And on these podcasts, you know, we already talk about just finances, ways to grow yourself, revenue, how to grow your revenue, business ideas, you know what I mean? If you want to invest and stuff like that. And today, you know, we got a special guest with us, my boy Al right here. My longtime boy. We used to be roommates way back in the day, but I've been knowing this dude for a long time. So, yo, I'm gonna give him the space to introduce himself.
Hey guys, my name is Alavee Hassan. I'm the executive chef at Trade in Boston. We were just voted the best Mediterranean restaurant in the city. And I like to think I'm one of the best young chefs in Boston. You know, I think I was a chef even when I know Kevin.
Yeah, back
you
in
know,
the day.
back in the day when my 20s, you know, in your 20s you think you know everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm the best. Nobody's better than me. Then you come to a big city, then you're like, shit, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm fucking new, you know?
Yeah.
But then, you know, after that mentality, you're like, shit, I don't know shit, but I still have time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think since I've seen you last, it was like, what, 7 years?
7 years.
7, 8 years? Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of growing, you know, a lot of maturing.
Facts.
Not as cocky as I used to be. Learning, you know, humble.
That's what happens though, you know, in your early 20s, you start off, you know, thinking you know everything because that's everybody's MO. And then as you grow, you learn different things, and it's all about growth.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I think more you know, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's always room for learning. If
Yeah.
you just over here, like you said, that young mentality, you're never gonna elevate and keep going. And if you're not taking those losses, you're not gonna be able to win and learn from those mistakes and keep growing.
Exactly. Like,
you learn every day.
I think you need to be able to take those in stride and be like, okay, so here's a loss, right? I think one of the biggest things I've experienced, it's like when I first came to the city, right? I see chefs like, so the person that owns this restaurant, her name is Jody Adams, right? Those are her books right there, right? So she is one of the OG chefs in Boston, right? She's a female, you know, that's been cooking for 30 plus years. She owns, so it's Trade, Porto, Saloniki.
Now Porto's a good restaurant. It's Portuguese, right?
No, it's Italian Coastal.
Okay, Italian Coastal.
Now we just opened a restaurant in Raffles Hotel called La Padrona, right? So that's supposed to be the hottest new restaurant in the city. So then you have I think, you know, I'm really good at my job, but then you meet somebody who's like on a whole nother level.
A whole different level.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm really good at this level,
Right.
but then you see somebody at the next level, then you're like, okay, do you just get beat up? Do you feel like, oh man, you know, it's too far? Or do you feel like, okay, I'm gonna work for you,
I would
learn
like to be
everything
there
you
one
have
day.
to teach,
Right.
and get to that next level. You
Yep,
know?
yep.
Word. So walk us through the different steps of chefs, because you're not just a chef. So
Yeah.
you know, walk us through
So
the process.
like, let's say when you start in a kitchen, right? You know, there's so many levels to it, right? And different restaurants are set up in a different way, right? So in a restaurant like this that are very fine dining, very high end, you're gonna start off like, let's say you get a job, you have some experience already, you already been cooking. The first thing you're gonna start off is like either prep or line cook. Prep people is the people that prepare all our foods. They come in the morning, they receive all the deliveries, cut the fish, clean the vegetables, peel the potatoes. Like they have their job, right? Line cooks are the guys that they'll come in, they'll take that prep, put them in their station, and they'll work a station. Either you work on grill, you work on saute, you work fry, you work salad, garmo, whatever that is, right? Above that, it's basically like a chef de cuisine who's running the whole line. Or lead line. That guy he's like the head of the band. You know what I mean? He's like the vocalist. Like he's putting it all together. Then you have the sous chef who's running the entire kitchen, because the lead line is running all the line cook, but he's not seeing prep. He's not seeing all the other aspects of the kitchen, right? Sous chef runs all the other aspects. And above him is an executive chef that runs the entire restaurant. So if you grab a menu, the menu has like my name on it. You will not have your name on it unless you're an executive chef. That means you represent like the food of this restaurant. What that entails, like my job is coming up with new food, changing menus. It's different, right? I grow the business with my food. A sous chef just make sure he repeats what I tell him to do, right? It's repetitive. There's no creative aspect of it, right? There are some times like I'll have them help me so they can grow as well, right?
Right.
But for me, it's basically I manage the overall restaurant. I make sure we're making money, right? I make sure all the people I'm paying, my labor cost is low. So in a restaurant, let's say you make $100, right? Out of $100, 30% almost needs to be on food. Like out of $100, $30 you spend for food, $30 for labor. That's $60, $20 all the other things. And at the end, you end up left with like 20%. That's your profit. I gotta make sure my labor never goes above that 30%, or whatever the percentage you set to be. Right now, labor's like under 24, which is really great, right? So lower my labor is, lower I spend money on food, the more money the restaurant makes. That's my job. My job is to bring the money in the restaurant. And not just bring in the money, keeping the money. You can bring $1 million a month, not a problem. But if you spending too much money on food, you're paying people too much overtime, at the end of the month, you don't have anything left. It doesn't matter if you make $10 million, but what are you getting to keep, right? If you don't get to keep anything, it's not a business.
And on a consistent basis too, because you could be hot for the summer, but what are you gonna do during the winter when everybody's stuck at home?
So that's my job. Like my job is to find creative ways. Like let's say it's winter, right? Business is slow. People are not going out to eat. How do I get people in here? Maybe I create a special menu where I do a dinner where it's course. Like I get special wine. Like here is a 7-course dinner, highlighting just fish or highlighting this part of Greece. You buy a ticket, you come in, and you get to experience something new. You don't get to pick from a menu. I give you 7 courses paired with wine, and it's a wine dinner. You try new things, you expand your horizon. So that's my job. How do we get more people in here? How do we serve better food? How do we save more money? So that's an executive chef's job, right?
Yeah.
When food comes out, let's say you don't like the food, when you're like, I don't like this. Sous chef is not to blame. That's my food. That's my dish. I created that. I need to come out and ask you what's going on. Why don't you like it? What could I have done better?
I see. Makes sense.
You know what I mean?
No, and it has happened when I'm out at restaurants when they do come out and talk to you and ask you that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of lining up. So like this is stuff we know but don't know, and like we said, we learn every day.
You see the other side of it. You see it from a customer perspective. You don't see it from like the other side. So on the reviews, that's me, because all the dishes on this menu, or 90% of it, Chef Jody, who's my boss, who runs all the restaurant, she created a lot of the classic things that are on the menu, but like 70% of it, it's still mine that I put on since I got here.
Right.
So if you don't like that dish, I have nobody to blame but myself. Either the dish isn't good, or it's not getting executed right. That means either somebody's not prepping it right, or somebody's not putting it out right. Either way, it's all on me. So it all comes down to you, right?
Right.
You are they're playing each instrument, but you're the conductor of the whole band.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
That's a metaphor that I can use,
Right.
So that's my job.
Okay. I got a 2-part question.
Yeah.
How did you get started and get to this point that you're at right now? And how do you create these menus?
Yeah, man. Thanks. You're awesome. This is Martin. He's one of our food runners. So when we put out food, he makes sure it goes to the right table. Thank you so much, buddy.
Here's some coffee, espresso.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bud.
Well, can I bring another one?
No. I think he's not gonna drink. It's mine. Yeah. I need coffee. So as a chef, you live on like Red Bull and espressos, man. That's because you do long hours and stuff like that. That's this is your bread and butter.
Right. So bring us into that again. Like,
tell me.
How'd you get started into this, and how'd you get yourself to this level, and then how does your current boss trust you to create these menus?
So let me break that down. Right. So how did I get started?
Right.
You've known me for a while. So food has been something that I'm extremely passionate about. I think that was always obvious,
yes,
right?
Always,
I think anybody that knows me, it's like chef is just something like describes my personality. I came from, my mom is from Bangladesh, right? So I grew up in a household in our culture, very poor country, but the country has something that's like culturally rich. Your mom cooks at home, your grandma cooks at home. You live at, it's like you don't go out to eat. You go home, you eat, and it's food that's like soul food almost, right? Things that your mom and grandma cooking. So my mom passed away pretty early, so I had to, like at home, like, when I came here, I wanted to cook some of the stuff because food is also a way to, I don't know if you feel that. You ever had something where you're like, man, this brings me back?
Yeah.
You
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Home cooking. That's
It's a nostalgia.
When he took that.
Yeah.
Right back.
Yeah. It's all
So,
part of like the
That's
the
called
trauma scenes and
nostalgia,
stuff like
man,
that.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. So nostalgia is one of those things that, it can trigger memories. And one of the biggest thing, for the senses is taste, right? So I would create her recipes, and because it would remind me of my mom's, you know what I mean? And when I came to America, restaurant jobs are always easy to get to. If you don't speak English,
quick.
anybody can work in a restaurant almost. And I first moved to New York, and I started working in a restaurant called Sylvia's, like soul food spot, very well known,
Sylvia's.
very well known,
Well
like,
known.
right? Nelson Mandela been there, Obama's been there, like it's a staple in Harlem, right? And I was a busboy, I would work, but I needed more money, then I would help out in the kitchen. And it's just something that I love, that idea of like, you can make something for somebody and you can touch their soul with it. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen often. It's not gonna happen 364 days out of the year, but it might happen that one day, and that one day is gonna be such a feeling like I did that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I made that happen. That was because of me. You feel like, oh man, I'm back at home. This reminds me of my mom. You know what I mean? This reminds me of the time I got married, whatever that is. So I loved creating that feeling in people, right? That's the honest truth. But then how do you get into the career, right? You just can't hop in. So when I first moved to New Hampshire, which is where I still live right now, there was a new restaurant building up called Tuscan Kitchen. You guys know what it is, right? That was the first time Tuscan Kitchen, and a guy named Joe Farrow, he was building it, right? So I lived in Italy when I was young, so I spoke a little bit of Italian. I spoke fluent, but I forgot a lot of it. But I walked into Tuscan Kitchen, I told them in Italian, I'm like, I want a job. I want to be a chef. You should hire me, and I speak Italian. He's like, okay, sure. Why don't you come on in? So that was my first job. It didn't start off. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I heard a lot of stories about Joe, similar to that one. He likes stuff like that. He wants people to grow. He just doesn't want employees. He wants to see employees go.
He wants to see like creative people, smart people.
Right.
Like, oh, you're willing to be
he
a chef.
built
You're willing to
Tuscan
come up to me.
Kitchen up. Like
Dude,
that's Tuscan Village now.
Yeah, that's where I live right now. I live in Tuscan
right.
Village. And so Joe's story is inspiring. His father had a small pasta store. From that, he turned it into a huge pasta factory, which he sold to Nestle for like $300 million or something. Then he opened Tuscan Kitchen. So I started working at Tuscan Kitchen, and I think I ended up in a good spot to find a job because Tuscan Kitchen everything was beautiful, like fresh pasta, fresh salamis, raw cut meat. Like there was nothing around here like that in 2012, 2013. There was nothing like that. Right. Nobody was making fresh pasta. Nobody was making daily bread. No restaurant was doing that. He was doing that, and I was exposed to that so early, and I just fell in love with it, man.
Right.
That's how I got my start at his, and I picked it up so quick, over there. Like somebody would call out, I would do their job. Chef would call out, I would do their job. Like I would do.
Hustle.
I love doing it, and I wanted to show, like, hey, I don't have any experience, but I'm so hungry that I can, I'll make it up. I don't know anything. I'm gonna look it up on my phone. I have, if I might not know every skill, but I'm gonna teach myself whatever you need me to know. Right.
How about a private chef? Have you ever got into that stuff like that? Or anything like that, or do anything like that now?
I do actually. I don't do private stuff, to be honest with you. It's just not worth my time most times. It's and there's a hassle part of it. People want to have events, but they don't want to pay this. They don't want to pay that. They don't want to. It's so. And at my level, I'm not gonna be coming to your house and cooking you chicken wings. Like if I'm coming, I'm gonna cook you something different. Right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Fine dining.
So cooking something different. I see you're engaged now. You cook for the lady, or who cooks at home?
Yeah, man.
She must be eating good.
Nah, bro. She cooks more than I do, bro.
Oh, yeah?
I swear to God,
That's
bro.
crazy.
But she can't cook like you, though.
No, but she does be cooking more than I
Yeah.
do, bro. Because when I
That's
go
great.
home, I'm like, I'm
You're
laid
already
out, bro.
done. You don't
I'm
wanna
tired,
touch
bro.
it.
I don't want to go near the kitchen.
Dude.
She's been cooking like lasagna, nachos,
Love
pizza,
it.
pastas. She's been cooking it, and I'm gonna tell you, like, she's learning. And trust me, being with a chef for this long in a relationship, you learn a thing
You
or
gotta
two.
learn.
You know what I mean?
I seen this dude turn yogurt into a 5-star meal. Yo, I got a funny story actually, because Al used to do the catering events, and then one time he brought me with him to an event, and I'll never forget this. It was like my first time being exposed to something like this. But we go to this house. He's like, "Oh, just coming to do an event." I'm thinking it's gonna be something small, and we get to this house, and it's one of the biggest houses I've ever seen in my life. Like the driveway had a driveway, and then we get up in there, right, and inside the driveway there's a old taxi cab, and it was from London. And the guy was telling us a story. He was like, "Yo, when I was younger, my dad was poor, and they kicked us out this taxi. And when I got older, I went back and I brought this taxi and brought it here to America. And he kept it there for memorabilia. And then we walked into the house, and there was gold specks in the floor, in the china cabinet. I was there for like 10 minutes, but I didn't have a haircut. I'm like, I gotta leave.
I gotta
The
go.
guy he's talking about, I remember, his name is Robert Bowen, right? He is he's a billionaire, not a millionaire.
Billion.
And when you, like, if you don't understand that number, like, understand a million, then you look at a billion, you're like, oh, it's not the same at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's not. Like, you need to, sometimes the numbers is tricky, right? A million to a billion sounds like a one letter off. But when you look at the actual, like,
No, the difference is a big difference. For sure.
Right.
So
he was cooking for him back in the day. That was like, what, like 10, almost 10 years ago?
yeah, back in when I was like 21, 22. So at that time, people would come to my restaurants, right? And they would love the food. They're like, "Are you doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, come to my house, cook for me. And excuse me. And most of the times, it wouldn't turn into something. But every now and then, it would turn into something where I would go to cook their house for 10 people for 5 hours, and I would get a check for like $3,000, $4,000.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
And I still do it for a lot of people, but right now it's like, before I would just like call out of work and do it. Now it's like you would have to fit into my schedule, and I would have to like you as a friend, or the money has to be enough where I leave my work to go do that. Right now it's just like my time is worth more.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's, as you grow older, you have to value yourself and your time.
No, yeah, and it's good to see that you're already there, because something we always talk about is standing on business on these things and having those boundaries. And for you to have that, that means you're doing the right thing. You went through those mistakes and you're learning. So that's the point where no matter what you're doing, you want to get to. You want to get to that growth.
I think one thing people struggle with when they get started, you know, when somebody wants to cook for them, you're just like so appreciative for the opportunity. You don't care about the money, right? Or you're like, I want to make this person happy. Pay me whatever you think is fair, and they're gonna rip you off, or they're gonna take advantage of you. I've been there. I've been to those times where I would go to somebody's house, cook all day, get $100, you know. But I was just so like, oh my God, he picked me. You know,
I get to do it. I
need to get noticed. You know, I'll do it for you. But as you get older, you're like, those are the people. You might think they value you, but if they're not paying you what you're worth, are they really valuing you? Are they really valuing what you can bring to the table? Now, you want me to come? Okay, let me see if my calendar is clear. Okay, my calendar is clear. Now I'll talk to my lady. Hey, are we doing something that day? No? Okay, I'm free. Okay, what do you want to do? 10 people? How many courses? 5? Okay, you pay for all the ingredients. On top of that, you got to give me $4,000. If that works for you, great. If not, I will send you to a friend of mine who's still coming up on the scene, one of my guys who's still like below me. And for him, $1,000 might be a lot. But for me, I think $1,000 for a whole day, if I have the time, sure. But I think I'd rather spend that much time with some, like my loved ones. Because I
like it. You know why? Because at the end of the day, people are scared to talk money.
Right.
People are scared to talk prices. It's like a fear, and there's nothing bad with it.
No, it's just
discuss it. It saves so much time.
It's a preconceived notion where it's like a shame you don't want to talk about money. You know, nobody wants to be like, I don't want to pay you enough, or nobody wants to be like, I charge too much. So you just want to be like, for me, I'm like, for this much work, that many dishes, for me to actually go out, grab the cooking supplies, come to your house, cook it. And I'm one of the best chefs in Boston. My restaurant just became the best Mediterranean restaurant. You want me to stay 10 hours and cook for you? So 10 hours, you divide that by 1,000, that's $100 an hour. That's not worth it. But if you give me like $5,000, I'm like, okay, that's worth it.
Yeah,
I'll come do it.
Because you're gonna come with everything, and you're gonna do a nice display. I've seen it myself.
And like, it's like, if I cook for you, I'm putting my name on it. You're gonna post it on Instagram. You're gonna tag me on it, so that food needs to cook.
Yeah, it's your face.
You know, it's my brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just me. If I gotta come to you, I gotta bring somebody else with me. It's just I cannot cook for you and wash dishes.
Yeah, right.
It's at somebody's house. You have to constantly wash dishes. You gotta keep the floors clean. You gotta take out the trash with you.
Right.
So all those things, I gotta bring another person. I gotta pay that person.
Right.
I gotta buy the groceries, and I don't go to Market Basket.
Right.
You know, I have to buy. Like, our suppliers are the best suppliers in the city.
Right.
I want a fish right now. They caught it last night. You know what I mean? That's what I'm serving.
Yeah, right.
I gotta pay for that. You want
Right,
those
right.
high quality products, you gotta pay those high quality money.
So you come with
That's true. And that brings me back to the second question that I had, about now my boy came all this way. He's an executive chef and he's making these menus. So how do you balance making the menus with the owner and, putting your name on it?
So I think,
It's a lot of time that takes, I bet.
yeah, so we change our menu like every season. That's like every 3 months.
Right.
Right? And so that's hard. But that's the challenge too. Because if you don't do that, you need to challenge yourself creatively. You cannot get complacent. Because if you don't change anything, how are you growing?
Right.
In this kitchen, beside Jody, I am the most senior person. Nobody's gonna teach me. I mean, there might be a thing or two where they might teach me something new, but nobody's gonna consistently teach me new things. So how do I grow? I challenge myself. Here's a menu. You love this menu. Here's all the dishes. Change them. You know what I mean? Use these ingredients that are available right now, this season, right? Right now, it's like oranges are in season right now. Lettuces are in season right now. So, but it's like all those things change every 3 months. There will be pomegranate, then it'll be blood oranges, then it'll be caviar, whatever that is, botarga. So I take those. I'm like, okay, now we got to change it again every 3 months. That's a challenge to yourself. This is a dish you took a lot of time to come up with. Now change it. Make it something else. Make it something new. Make it something fresh. So that's the challenge with many changes, right? That's a great way to challenge yourself, to make yourself better and better. And every menu change, I'm like, I did this. I gotta go one step above. I gotta be a little bit better than last time, a little bit better than yesterday, right? That's the mentality.
Right, and you gotta balance changing the prices.
Yep.
And like you said, balance like the labor and the work.
And the owners, right? So they need to like it. So a lot of times owners are somebody that just puts in money. For me, it's different. The owner of this restaurant is Eric, Papa, Krista, and Jody has a James Beard Award. That's the highest award a chef can get in America. So that's not a person that I can just put up some random shit and she'll be like, oh, this is delicious. No. She's gonna rip my ass apart if I put up something that's not 100%, right?
Yeah, facts.
So what we do right now is this. So let's say we're gonna change the menu in a month, right? A month before, I write down a menu. I tell her what I'm gonna change. I send her an email. She's gonna look at that email, and she's going to basically be like, "Hey, I like this. I like the way your head is at. I don't like this. Maybe do this. Send it back to me." Then I'm gonna take those instructions, and if they fit, if I'm like, yeah, I agree, then I invite her. She'll come in the first time. A week later, I cook them all. I cook all the new dishes. She'll taste them all, and she'll give me her critiques. Not like as a person who understands food, as a chef, as a guest, she'll be like, I like this, but I don't know, this feels too heavy. I like this. This, I don't know, it's too doughy. You know what I mean? It's too many spices. It's confusing. Not enough. It's too bland. I take those criticisms, then I invite her a week later. I take those changes. I think it over. I remake those dishes, and when she gives me the go ahead, then these are final. Then I recook them to have a meeting with the CEO, CFO, chef, like all the guys that owns this company. Like 3-4 people.
Right.
Then they all taste it. They give me their feedback. Then that's the final. So it goes through a couple of changes of rendition, right?
Of course. Right.
And then when everybody's in the same page that this is the best we can do at this time, then we go live.
And that's when you train all the other chefs down the line.
So that's when I basically, exactly. So that like a week ahead, we're like, okay, you have this dish, you have a lamb chop on the menu that goes with green beans and olives and lamb yolk and rosemary yogurt, right? So right now we're gonna take this away. We're gonna give you this. Here's all the sets. Let's cook it together. Me and him will cook it together. We'll taste it. I'll ask his opinion because that's how he grows as well. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Why not? He's like, oh, I don't like the sauce. Tell me why not. Because it's very easy to say, I don't know, I don't like this one. But why not?
Why not? Get into details with it. Yeah.
Tell me. We need to break it down, right? Then if we're all set, I teach him how to cook it. Then he cooks it alone. Then I criticize it. I'm like, no, this is like that, that like that. But not only that, the prep people, I also write down all the recipes because every dish has like 5-6 recipes for a sauce, for meat, for a vegetable. I give it to my prep people and they prep the recipes. Then I taste them. And I'm like, I gave you the recipe, but this didn't come out exactly like that because of what's in your head and what they prep. Sometimes it's not the same.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when everybody's on the same page, then you gotta train in front of the house. Because I can cook the food, but I can't sell it. That's the servers.
I feel like in this industry, you need to have a lot of honesty and a lot of
Transparency.
transparency, correct, and knowing that you have to accept the feedback as it is what it is. You can't be in here if it's not for love. You can't be in here like, here we go, he wants more sugar. Like,
Yeah.
No, you can't be here for the check. You got to be doing it. All right, more sugar, let's go. You know, and have that passion for it and stuff like that.
That's a hard thing,
In order
though,
to
man.
succeed.
That's a hard thing because it's like you get people from all across life, right?
Right.
I ask somebody, and every time I interview somebody, one of the biggest questions I ask is like this. I'll look them straight in the eye. If you're here for money, that is perfectly fine. I respect that. We all need money. But tell me, are you passionate? Do you like doing this? If you don't, it's not like you're not going to have the job. I still might hire you. But you need to be honest with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, Chef, I'm doing this for the money. Chef, I have a lot of experience. It's just something I got stuck in. I started doing it. I could have, like, that's all I know. And then you go, those guys, they're like, you don't have to pay me. I'll work for free, man. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's almost like the young yourself when you went to Tuscan and
Yeah.
you're like, I want to work here. I know it's at.
Right.
That's the people you want because you want somebody.
You can see
they're
it in their eyes,
Yeah.
man.
They're in the line,
Hustle,
but
the
they want to keep
hungriness.
going up. Let's get those people going in here.
and the thing is, like, you know, the difference is somebody that comes in for money, they might work 9 hours, but on the 10th hour, they'll give it.
Right.
You know, if something on a tired day at end of Saturday after fucking 70 hours, they'll like put out a plate where it's like, oh man, it's not right. Whatever, man, send it out. But that
Right.
passionate guy, when like your like body runs down and
Right.
you're like run down to the ground, you're still like, that's not
Right.
it, man.
Yeah.
Like that, then the passion kicks in.
Right.
Like no matter how tired I am, if there's a plate that doesn't look right, I cannot send it out. Like physically, it is impossible for me to send it out.
Right.
Like you'll send it out, I'll grab it. I'll be like, nah, man. I know we're tired, but we can't
keep
send this
going.
out.
Yeah. Nah, I know that it takes a lot of responsibility. And I was thinking, it's funny because I watch a lot of shows. Like Chop, we used to watch them back in the day too.
Yeah.
Chop, Bar Rescue, Guy Fieri.
We used to go Chopped at the house.
Yeah,
Remember,
we used to
you
love
pick
going
me
Chopped at the
ingredients.
house. All different ingredients and shit. And it's funny because in the restaurant business, people take a lot of criticism. Like you said,
Yeah.
if the food's not right, it's people from all different walks of life. How do you deal with the criticism from the public and deal with the criticisms behind the scenes? Because I know in the kitchen it can get crazy sometimes.
Oh man,
It's not like all friends back.
Nah,
then.
man, it's not for the weak-hearted, bro.
Right.
You know, it's criticism comes in many shapes and forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
First time when you get a criticism, it's your first reaction is to defend, right?
Right.
That's something I think I have matured drastically. 5 years ago, you told me this dish isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Your palate's wrong. You don't know what good food is.
Right.
Now I'm like, okay, why?
Yeah.
Now that, because it's like before you get offensive, because you're like you don't want to hear something that you put your heart and soul into it. That's not good enough.
Yeah, right.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
Whether you're an athlete, imagine you've been playing all your life, then all of a sudden you're just not good enough for the NFL. Then it's like that's a hard thing to swallow because you're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I know I'm good, but it's like sometimes it's like hard to accept something
Right.
you've done, worked so hard for is just not good enough. Then you get defensive. But as you grow, as you mature, now that where I am, now when somebody tells me it's not good, I look at it objectively.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I learned from Gordon Ramsay, to be honest with you, I know Gordon Ramsay is very like
Gordon Ramsay
mainstream,
but he's out there.
You know, Gordon Ramsay might be on TV right now, but he started working initially for Marco Pierre White back in the day in the 80s. You know what I mean? He worked and he had a 3 Michelin star restaurant called Aubergine. Like this is before the TV. So most chefs respect him because we know he's a real chef that also is on TV.
Right.
Some guys are on TV that are not real chefs. But when you see a chef on TV that you're like, dude, he's also the real thing.
He's a real
Gordon Ramsay is a real thing. One thing I did learn from him, he's like, take everything professionally, not personally. If somebody says something is not right, don't take it personally. It's not a jab against you. It's not something to hurt you. Take it professionally. How can I take this criticism and work on it and make it better?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the biggest things I learned. You take criticism from guests. I get it all the time, man. Sometimes I might think something is perfect. Somebody might not. Then you have to look at it. Did I do something wrong? Or not everything's going to be for everybody. Just understand that, live with it. Not everything's going to be for everybody. Something you might think is great, somebody might not like it automatically. Doesn't mean your food is bad. It just might not be for that person. Or the other option is, there might be something wrong with the dish. So you have to look at that
professionally, though.
You have to look at it in a professional way. Okay, break it down like a formula. What's wrong with the dish? What part did it need taste it? Is something wrong? Have one of your guys taste it. Have one of your front of the house, have your manager, have your wine person, have your bar. They all taste it. 2 or 3 people say the same thing. It's probably something wrong with the dish. Then you go back. Okay, how can I fix it? Then you work on that. Then you take that constructively.
Right.
But there are times, I'll tell you, chef might not admit it, but when there's customers always right. But there are some times you might put up something, somebody might say something negative about it. It just might not be for that person. There might be, you might have to look at it and be like, okay, there's nothing wrong with the dish. Maybe it's just not to your liking, not your preference. Let me make you something else. Doesn't mean the dish has to be changed. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense.
So that's so you have to kind of figure out, find the issue, categorize the issue. Is something wrong with the dish?
Yeah.
Do I need to fix it?
Yeah.
Is this not that person's liking? Is this just a preference thing? Or is this just a malicious thing where they're just not gonna like anything I put up?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to figure those things out and question yourself and be honest with yourself.
Yeah, right. Walk us through staying in that mentality too. How do you
that comes with time, man.
Right. Because it's hard, just being in a space sometimes, just getting up and just going, like you said, 70 hours a week and grinding and then getting yourself to a point where you can't stop. But how do you stay in that mindset?
I think the biggest thing I think for any career, it was very hard, honestly. 75 hours. I did a lot of hours. It was hard on relationships. It was hard on physical health, mental health. I know a lot of chefs don't talk about it. Mental health is a big thing, I'm not afraid to talk about it. There has been times where it's I love doing this job, but I'm depressed coming to work. There has been times like that. There has been times where I haven't seen my significant others in weeks. It's like roommates living in the same house.
Right.
I go to sleep, they go to work, you go to work, they're asleep. So you just don't see them at all. Or even when you see them, you're not there. You're checked out. You're not present, right? So how do you fix that? That has fixed over time. What I've done is like this. Before, I used to chase jobs for money. Who gives me the most money? Can you give me 100,000? Can you give me more? Now, what I look for is who is gonna give me the best work-life balance? Right?
Work-life balance.
That's I know people throw that word around easily, but that's something you need to actually think about.
People take it for granted.
People take it for granted. So, and you need to set your work-life balance.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me how many hours I work. This is the job. Tell me what the job is. This is the job. Okay, you need to schedule your life and balance it. And that is up to you. I cannot blame somebody for burning me out if I let them burn me out.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So now, then I got to have my goals, right? Once you have your goals clearly, it's very easy to stay focused. You just have to know what your goal is.
Right.
My goal, it's I want to have a James Beard Award in a year or so.
Okay.
Right?
That's bringing us into our next question.
Yeah, so I want to own a James Beard Award.
That's for the best chef, right?
The best chef in America.
Okay.
Then last year we went to the award, so award show in Chicago. So I want to be the best chef that wins the James Beard Award. I wanna stay with this company. I wanna open a restaurant through them.
Okay. Getting into the next question. What do you want to do for the future? What do you see yourself doing for the future?
So that's the thing. So I have my goal, James Beard Award, open a restaurant with them as my partners. That's my goal. When you have those goals, it's easy to stay focused. It's a clear goal. Two things, right? Whenever you get tired, you got to remind yourself, those are the goals. How am I going to get there? To get there, I got to do day and day. You don't get there in a day. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Every day, consistency, perfection, the best I can be today. Right? And that's my goal. Once I remember the goals, no matter how tired I am, I don't want to get up for work. I'm like, how are you gonna win a James Beard Award? You really hope to freaking open a restaurant and you don't want to get up from bed. As soon as you hear that, you're like, no, I gotta get up.
James Beard Award, that's the MVP.
Yeah, man, the best chef. So she has two. The person I work for, you know. So that's my next goal. So I'm aiming for that next year. You know what I mean? So that's my goal. Once I have that in my goal, like I feel like everything becomes clear. I know like where I'm going. So if you know where you're going, the journey becomes a little bit easier.
Right.
You have a clear goal. That's my goal. And so I'm focused. Even when I get unfocused a little bit, that's when you need people that support you and love you and want you to go further. You need to surround yourself with that mentality, right? Everybody in this company, like, these are the guys they open 10 restaurants. They're still working 5 to 9, then 9 to 5. Like Eric Papacristo, who's the CEO. He works all night, then all day, because the 10 is not enough. He wants to do other projects. He wants to open that's not enough. Then you're like, I'm not hungry enough. I need to be hungrier. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think like drive, you know, when you see somebody's drive, it helps your drive. You're like, man, I gotta do that. I gotta be more like him. I think that's the biggest thing, man.
Yeah. I mean, yo, it sounds like you're so ambitious, and like it's crazy to see the growth in my guy right here. 10 years makes a big difference, but I will say this, right? Do you have any advice for young people or people getting started in this industry? And I'm just saying, like, if they want to be a chef, if they want to be an executive chef, if they want to open up a restaurant, like, any advice to give?
To this camera?
Yeah, man. I think one of the most important things, if I could go back in past, the way I would do this is this, right? Stop taking a job just for the money. We all need money to survive. But find the right place. Find the places, find the people that will allow you to grow, not just take advantage of you. Even if you have to sacrifice a little bit of money, it's gonna be worth it in the long run. Like, I took a lot of jobs for the money, but I got burnt out really easily. I realized money wasn't everything. I mean, money is is a huge factor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money isn't everything, but you need to find where people will allow you to grow. People will not take advantage of you. They want to see the next generation come up. They want to mentor you.
Right.
You want to go to those places, even if it's a few dollars less. You don't make it like you're not making all the money you can. In the long run, it is going to work out so much better for you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's just sacrifice a little bit of money to get more skills. Because if you have the skills, you have the passion, money will be a side effect. You don't need to chase the money. Money will come automatically. You just need to chase the skills.
So building skills, work-life balance, and mental health. 3 important things.
Yeah, man. Physical health and mental health goes hand in hand, you know.
Okay.
Chefs struggle with that. You know, you guys are not in the industry, I'll tell you. Chefs struggle with the mental and the physical health.
Okay.
You work so much, people end up drinking, drugs is a big thing. They fall into that life. Like, you know, because you're working and you need to keep going.
Okay.
So you lose sight of all those things. So I think like focusing on yourself, not just your career, is a big thing. You cannot just be like, I need to be the best chef and not focus in your home life.
Okay.
Because that is going to trickle down to your professional life. You need to make sure you're good at home. You need to make sure you take care of yourself. You know, you show people respect, and eventually you're going to reach your goals. It's not, for me, it's not like I'm going to reach my goals one day. It's just a matter of time. It's not a question of whether I will or not. It's just literally a matter of time.
Okay. I like that. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but I got a couple more questions.
Yeah,
just to kind
of course.
So let's go through, let's see your top 5 chefs. Not including yourself, but top 5 chefs.
Thomas Keller.
Okay.
Eric Rupert. Anthony Bourdain was one of my favorite guys. Rest in peace. David Chang, Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay. Yo, like I said, Gordon Ramsay's show is crazy.
Man. You know why I love Gordon Ramsay? Not just the stuff he does now. If you go on YouTube, look up Gordon Ramsay 1980,
Yeah.
And you're going to see, there was a guy named Marco Pierre White. He was a chef in England that had the 3 Michelin star restaurant before there were 3 Michelin star. Like, you know what I mean? He was the OG of cooking. And Gordon Ramsay used to be one of his line cooks. Yeah. The TV show isn't about Ramsay. You just see Ramsay in the back making pasta, cutting stuff. Like, you see him working in the background. Yeah. Then you look at his resume, then you're like, this guy put in time. And I respect the ethic. I respect the work ethic. Imagine all the shows he's doing. He still owns 3 Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah, he does.
He still owns hotels. He's still doing 10,000 TV shows. I respect that work ethic because he's not young, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's getting up there, but the work ethic never went away. I respect that.
Work ethic. All right, my last question is, what's your top 5 dishes you like to serve?
Oh man, that's hard, bro. Food is like music, you know what I mean? It's like if I tell you the top 5 songs, it's like impossible to talk about, because you like so much shit, right?
Yeah, right.
Why don't I tell you 5 things on my menu that I like right now? Okay. I have a pan-seared crispy skin branzino right now. It's a whole fish. It comes like this big. It comes with a pea puree, black garlic puree, potato scordalia. Then it has a green herb dressing around the top and little pea tendrils, little peas and mushrooms. That's one. Second would be the octopus. We have a grilled octopus that comes with the fava puree, pickled onions, fried capers, sesame seeds. That's like very classic Greek food. These are both like Greek dishes. Cheesecake. I'm not a baker. I suck at baking, right? But I've been teaching myself how to be a baker. I'm like, that's my shortcoming. I'm gonna get better. Right. I wanted to put a cheesecake on for Valentine's Day, man. Right? I put it on. I wrote it down, but I did not know how to make it. I tried making it. It came out like shit. Like week after week, I kept making it. I would like, oh man, that looks like a fucking crap, right? Yeah. But then once I actually perfected it, it's like one of the most beautiful dishes on the menu, man. You know what I mean? I love it. I put it on the menu, and I'm like, I did that. I figured it out from scratch.
Cheesecake lovers, come check it out at Trade.
Good. Yeah, man. You said 5, right? I got 3 right now. 4th would be, I got a fried cauliflower. I put that on my first menu change when I first started here, and it's still one of the favorites. It's I love vegetables, right? Yeah. Meats, it's easy to make a steak taste good. Salt, pepper, grill, taste great, right? Yeah. But it's hard to make a vegetable taste great, right? It's that's the challenge, right? So I took a cauliflower, I battered it, deep fried it. It comes with Greek cheese spread, comes with honey, olive gremolata, and it's like a vegetable that tastes amazing. I'll make one for you guys in a bit. Yeah. That's 4, and the 5 has to be ribeye. At the end of the day, I love a freaking ribeye, man. It gets, we cook it, we make it herb butter with like rosemary, thyme, and lemon, and you just like cover it with butter, char it really outside, crispy like fried potatoes, these tiny little potatoes, broccoli rabe, and it gets topped with chives and carrots. It's fucking delicious.
My boy got it right here on the menu at Trade in Boston. Come check it out. I've been loving having you. It's good to see you. Man. We're going to the wedding right here. The wedding next year in January. This is growth right here. 10 years in the making.
Yeah, man.
She has to wait 10 years for it to finally happening.
Yeah, man. Check me out on Instagram.
Yeah, shout out your Instagram.
Yeah, Chef SHEFX Jefe, JEFE, Chef Boss. I've been learning Spanish, so Chef Jefe.
Chef Jefe, come check him out. Trade
man.
You already know.
Thank you for coming, guys. Man. This was a great talk.
Yeah, it was.
I appreciate
this episode, but I never been so full after an episode.
Facts, and the food was busting. Come check it out.
Good.
Trade in Boston.
Shout out to L. Thank you for having us. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit like, share. That's what us, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
ways to get the check.
Savannah.
Word.